Hey there, this is Eric Andreas, also known as Your Guitar Sage in the online guitar learning community, and this is part 4 of the 4-part series of the most important techniques and lessons, the 4 most important techniques and lessons that any guitar player should know. Okay, this is for intermediate, beginners, advanced, all. If you're an advanced player and you don't know these techniques, you gotta know them. For beginners, this is going to save you a ton of energy and a ton of time, a ton of heartache if you know them in the beginning. Okay? So, up until now, we've talked about some left and right hand technique. The last video, part 3, was on strumming. So if you haven't watched 1, 2, and 3, the links are below. Make sure you watch those. Otherwise, if you've watched them in part 4, then we can keep rolling. And this specific video is going to be talking about 3 basic things. And if you know these 3 basic things, it's going to help a ton with being able to play millions of songs, literally. Okay? So, and to tell you what we're going to be talking about today is, we're going to first talk about the 9 most important chords that any beginner guitar player should know. We're going to talk about the Capo, how to use it, and how to think about it, how to change keys with it, and that sort of thing. And then we're also going to be talking about transitioning from chord to chord, which also seems to be the bane of many guitar players in the beginning. And I'm going to show you a technique that's going to get you to change your chords quickly in as short amount of time as possible. Obviously, this all takes practice, so we can't get away from that. I can't give you a magic pill that's going to make you not do that. But I'm going to show you the practicing technique that's going to get you to the place that you want to go as quickly as physically possible. Okay? So, let's talk about the first thing, which is these 9 essential chords. Now, some of you may know some of these already, some of you may know all of them, some of you may know none of them. Okay? There's a link below in this video that will point you to a PDF, a free PDF that you can download, and you can see the actual fingering for these. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about them anyhow. The chords are E minor, E major or E, A minor, C, D, D minor, A major, B7, and G. Okay? So for those of you that know all these chords already, then you can fast forward a bit into another part of the video here when we're talking about capos. Or actually about transitioning. That'll be the next thing we do, and then capos after that. Okay, so the first chord here is an E minor. Okay, we're going to start off with the easiest one here. If you take your 2nd and 3rd finger and put it at the 2nd fret of strings 5 and 4, just like that, that's your E minor chord. Now we're going to be building these chords according to relationship from one chord to another and how they look. Okay, so this first one's an E minor. Looks just like that. You're going to strum all the chords, all the strings. Okay. For E major, also known as E, when we just mention a letter name of a chord, we mean major. So E looks like that. You're just going to put your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. That's an E major. If you take that chord right there and you move it down 1 string, so pick up all the fingers and move it down 1 string, you have the A minor chord. And here you're going to strum from the 5th string down. Now, I'm not expecting you to get these chords. If you're brand new to guitar, I'm not expecting you to get these chords right away. This is something that after this video, you're going to practice and get good at, okay? So the first thing is being able to just play through the chord using the fretting technique video that's in, I believe, in part 2 of this, or maybe even part 3 of this series. Links are below. Okay? So, once you do that, these chords are going to make more sense. They're going to be easier to play. Okay, so there's your A minor. Your C chord looks much like your A minor if you just take your 3rd finger and move it right there to the 3rd fret of the A string. And you're going to pick the same 5 strings from 5 to 1. Okay, that's your C chord. Okay, the next chord is a D chord. It looks like a little triangle right here. 1st finger is the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. 2nd finger is the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And your 3rd finger is the 3rd fret of the second string. And it looks like that, a little triangle right here, okay? And here you're going to strum strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, again, if you're not used to doing this, it's going to take a little time. Now, keep your third finger down, and for this D minor chord, you're going to put your first finger on the first fret of the first string, put your second finger on the second fret of the third string, and then your third finger will remain at the third fret of the second string. Okay, and you're again going to strum from the fourth string down. Okay, D minor. A major is a little bit tricky, and you can use either strings 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4, or you can even bar it. Okay, right now we're going to use fingers 2, 3, and 4 like this, and they're all going to go on the second fret of strings 4, 3, and 2. And you're going to strum from the fifth string down. That's an A major. Okay? Now, keeping your ring finger where it's at, bump your second finger up 1. Move your pinky down 1 string. And take your first finger and put it at the first fret of the fourth string. That's a B7 chord, and you're going to strum from the fifth string down. Okay? Now, take what you got there and slide it up 1 fret, just like that. Okay? This looks a lot like a G chord. Take your first and second finger and bump it up 1 string, just like this. Watch. Okay, do that. Then take your third finger, your ring finger, and pop it down, or bop it down, 1 string to right there, the second string. And that, my friends, is a G chord. That's one way to play a G chord. You could also lift your third finger up and play it like that, but that's a G chord. G chord you're going to use more than any other chord on the guitar. You're going to use that a ton, okay? So, there you go. There's your G. Those are the 9 most important chords, the chords that you're going to be using a ton. If you know those 9 chords, and if you have a capo, you can play these in every different key. You can literally play millions of chords, whether you're pulling charts off of, wherever, a chart for a song that shows you the chords with the words, or just a straight up chart. These are the chords you're going to be using a ton, okay? So now, one of the techniques that we need to get down is changing chords. So once you get your chords down, you may have difficulty moving from one chord to the next. So, technique number 2 is transitioning between chords. So a lot of people will take a song that may have 10 chords in it, or 5 chords, or 4 chords, and they'll just try to play through the song having difficulty in the beginning. What I say is focus even more, okay? If you're eating a sandwich, you're not going to shove the whole sandwich in your mouth and then worry about it later once it's in your mouth. You're going to take one bite, you're going to chew it and swallow it, and then go to the next bite. Same way, you want to think about it the same way with music, okay? So if we have 4 chords, don't try to take all 4 chords in right away. Try to take 2 of them and just do the transitions, for instance. And I also like to look and see what is the same about the chords, if anything. For instance, if we're going from a D to a G, notice, here's our D chord, and here's our G chord. Notice the ring finger doesn't move, or doesn't need to move. Why is that important? It may seem like a little detail. Well, it's a huge detail if we're having difficulty going from a D to a G, because this is an anchor. This guy stays there the whole time. So it's one less finger we have to think about. It doesn't have to come up or down, it just stays there. And it's an anchor, so for all the other fingers, it's a constant that will allow it to know where to lay your fingers down. Super important, okay? So, transitioning is when we go from one chord to the next. We don't even need to strum. What you want to do is you want to focus your attention on 2 chords. Sit here and look at it. Turn the guitar over if you need to a little bit. Looking at your hand and moving. Surely, methodically, and step by step, finger by finger, building that chord. I like to build chords from the lowest note up, because that's the way we strum them a lot of times, from the deepest note, or from the lowest note to the highest note. So it's important to build your chord like that, okay? A lot of folks will say, just grab the chord like that. In order for you to grab the chord like that, you have to be able to build it methodically first. So that's a part that a lot of guitar teachers skip, is they say, just grab the chord. Easy for them to say, they've been playing for a few decades. So, but in truth be told, we build chords from the ground up. Everybody does. Whether you're doing them very slowly or quickly. If you're doing them very quickly, then it just looks like I'm just grabbing a chord. But technically, I'm building them just like you would be doing, but just a little bit faster, or maybe a lot bit faster, okay? It takes time. So, what you do is you take two chords and you concentrate in between transitioning them back and forth, okay? Then, take another two chords. What I like to do is take a song and find out what the transitions are. If it's C, G, D, E minor, then C and G would be a transition. G and D would be a transition. And D and E minor would be a transition. Okay? Well, and E minor C, back to C. So C, G, D, E minor. There would be C to G would be one, G to D would be one, D to E minor would be one, and E minor to C. So 4 transitions. But we would practice them only 2 chords at a time. So C to G, C to G. Do this, and don't think speed, think accuracy. If you think accuracy, the speed will happen. Don't think speed, it'll slow you down, okay? Think accuracy, because accuracy equals speed as you get it, okay? So you practice your transitions like that. Some chords don't look alike, like this C and this G. There's nothing common about them, okay? So you'll still have to practice them, but when you have a connector like this or an anchor, then those are going to be typically easier to do. Okay? So transitions, the second part that we need to do in order to play songs well. Another thing you need to do is get a capo and understand how to use a capo. A capo is basically a device that mashes the strings down on a specific fret, allowing you to play those same forms that we just did, those same 9 forms. There's thousands of others, but those are the main ones we need to know. And it will allow you to play them further up the fretboard. Why do we need to do that? Because if let's say we have a chord progression that goes C, G, D, E minor. Now let's say we have another song that requires us to capo at the 2nd fret, and it's the same 4 chords. Sounds like an entirely different song, right? Playing the same 4 chords, except I'm capoed up, so I'm in a totally different key, and I'm strumming. The whole vibe of it's totally different. So you can see very quickly that if you know those quintessential chords, those 9 quintessential chords, and you understand how to use your capo, then you're going to be able to play literally millions of songs. And there's all sorts of free places online to find, these great charts, these great chord structures for songs, chord progressions, okay? So, now, what we're doing with the capos, each time we're moving this up, we're moving it up a half step. So, we're essentially changing the key every single time, okay? So, you don't have to know what key it's in, because most charts will actually say capo 1, capo 3, capo 5. If it says capo 5, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put it at the 5th fret, and play the same forms, C, G, D, E minor, or whatever the chart calls for. Get it? Cool. All right, so this is part 4 of this series that I've done. If you haven't seen 1, 2, and 3, make sure you check out the links below. Make sure you go to gettingstartedplayingguitar.com if you want 25 additional free lessons that you can't find anywhere. These are free lessons for you. I want you to take advantage of them. Nearly 2 hours of free video. Okay, so check that out. There's also on that same site tons of other, I think there's 3 additional courses. So beginners, intermediate, advanced. Check it out. I'm Eric Andreas, your Guitar Sage. If you like this video, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, and hit the links below. See ya.